Yo, it's me, it's CSCOTT, baby, and I'm back with my review of the 2019 film, Spider-Man Far From Home, starring Tom Holland, Samuel L. Jackson, Jake Gyllenhaal, and is directed by John Watts. In a way, it feels good to be done. I have this, and my ranking video. That's it. 23 films. 23 films. All the way from Iron Man to Spider-Man Far From Home and the Infinity Saga. I just realized I could do two rankings now. I can do my Spider-Man ranking, and I can do MCU ranking once I'm finished with this. You know, I realize I still have to do my DCEU ranking, so 3 ranking videos are coming. So, right. I'm already here. So, this takes place shortly after the events of Endgame, and yeah, so they're going on I'm just trying to put my head around this. They're going on a field trip to Europe after a life-changing event like Endgame. A battle with Thanos, I'm sure that made news. They call it the blip. This movie starts off with something they did wrong. A faux pas, as the French would say, a faux pas, a mistake. So it starts with this in memoriam video done by the high school where they pay tribute to those who died. Iron Man, Black Widow, Vision, Captain America. Wrong. He's not dead, just very old. I get maybe they don't know that, but just because he disappeared doesn't mean he's dead. I remember sitting in the theater being like, he's not dead. And I'm sorry, you can put that in the memoriam all you want. He's not dead. Until we get an official funeral in the MCU, he's not dead. So, there's that. So Spider-Man's being honored for something. And then Peter's going on his trip. There's this scene that I don't really care for. He's going through the airport, and the bag goes off when they're waving the wand over it, right? Like it's a metal detector. They open it up. They show the Spider-Man suit there, and then the lady pulls out. It's funny, but you could tell this scene is put in there just to show that he has the Spider-Man suit. Even though he doesn't freaking use it. I'm serious. But the only thing is, pulls out banana. It says, no. Not this, no. I'm like, wait, he can't bring a banana with him on the plane? What? It's supposed to be a joke, and it's supposed to show you that he has the suit. He never wears that suit, though. Because he tells him he thinks people will put 2 and 2 together if Spider-Man shows up in Europe at the same time Peter Parker is going through Europe. So he's dressed as what they call Night Monkey, which is like a spy suit. And really, so the only thing, okay, I'm trying to think of why he had to make a new suit. And I think it's because it's in his luggage, which they say it's blown up, but I don't remember seeing it blown up, but doesn't matter. And so he's recruited by Nick Fury and Quentin Beck, who is claiming to be from another Earth, and he is here to stop the elementals who have come from his world, and they've destroyed his world, and now they're trying to destroy this world. They claim the snap opened a hole in the fabric of space and time, and through the multiverse. This is a big thing when people saw it in the trailers. People were like, whoa. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. all of it. This multiverse thing was something made up by Quentin Beck because, well, it's the way that Mysterio is, It calls back to the animated series. He's doing this because he wants to be known as the next Iron Man. He wants to be the savior of humanity. And we see this where he and Peter team up to take down the elementals, and then there are these glasses that Tony always wears. It's called Edith. And he ends up giving them to Beck because he believes he doesn't deserve them. Once Beck gets them, the charade is over, and he's revealed he's working with former ex-Stark employees. Apparently, the only good way to write in a new character is by retconning. By saying that this guy, Quentin Beck, or whatever his name is, because they say they invented a guy from another universe named Quentin, so they never tell us his real name, but we'll say Quentin Beck. Say he invented the technology that Tony came up with to make him, how in Civil War there's the scene where he shows him a simulation of how he would have talked to his parents had he known about their deaths. Apparently, Quentin Beck came up with the technology. And apparently he was there, even though he wasn't there, because we saw Tony go back behind the stage, and there was no one there but the one lady. Juliana Gill's character. She was the only one back there. So once again, they are depending on retconning to further their cinematic universe, to further their stories. I get a little bit of retconning here and there, stuff people won't notice. But Civil War is one of the most well-loved films in the MCU. You start retconning from that, people are going to get pissed. And I'm surprised. I still hold this as one of the better Spider-Man films. But I'm surprised more people aren't pissed about this retcon that they just threw in there. Because even in the theater when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Civil War is one of my favorite movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And even I know that's bullshit. There was no one back there but the lady when Stark went back there. If he was there, they would have had a conversation. I do like, though, they bring the guy that Obadiah Stane yells at in Iron Man when he yells and he says, Tony Stark built this in a cave. That little bald guy, they bring him back, which is cool. And they're all former Stark employees. And his plan, Mysterio's plan, is to become the hero in the eyes of the people, which is very much Mysterio-like. However, the one thing I was a little disappointed about is that, and I first went to see this at all, is that we were promised to sit in a Sinister Six in the next film. They showed Scorpion talking to Vulture, saying, I have friends on the outside that are very interested in knowing this information. We never get that. Sure, 5 years have passed since, Infinity War, but we never get any of that. And even if they were blipped, which they do a great job of explaining the blip, they call it the blip, the endgame, the snap, whatever. They do great explanation of that, where they had this kid named Brad who was 5 years younger than them, but because of the blip, and by the way, the snap that wiped out half of all life in the universe, magically took out pretty much everyone in Peter Parker's class. Even Tony Stark would call bullshit on that. That would be highly illogical. As Spock would say, that's highly illogical, Captain. I don't think that's... come on. One snap randomly takes out half of the people in the entire universe. And Peter Parker's entire class happens to be in there. But I do like how they do this. So, they explain that Brad, a kid 5 years younger than them, is now in their class because of this. But what I don't like is that they have him going after MJ. Because his character is just not important. They introduce him in the beginning, showing how he's aged, only to then insert him into this love triangle. Not really needed. They even go so far as having this thing where Nick Fury sets this whole thing forward where he forces Peter to still take part in all this, even though he doesn't want to. He still forces him into it. So eventually, this woman, an agent of his, shows up and said, "Take your clothes off," to change into a costume. And Brad walks in with his pants down next to this beautiful blonde woman, not paying attention to the fact that Peter's supposed to be 16 years old, and there's this beautiful 20-something woman. But Brad takes a picture and says, "Oh, I'm gonna tell MJ." Age 5 years, huh? And you're acting like a 12-year-old. Come on. But Peter uses Edith to at first launch an attack on him, but he averts it, knocking out Flash Thompson. We'll talk about Flash Thompson in a minute. And then having it erased from his phone. Flash Thompson, I don't like how he looks in this. He has a beard. He has a little mustache and a little beard thingy, and his hair is poof. Okay, if you're going to have a different looking Flash Thompson, if you're going to make him different, if you're going to make him this snob instead of a bully, that's fine. But they even call us out in the movie that he's 16. Why do you make him look like he's 30 with a mustache? The actor's in his 20s, I get it. Have him shave and get a haircut. He needs to look younger. I mean, come on. I like how they're digging into Spider-Man's, deep into his roots with Easter eggs here. There's someone working for Nick Fury named Dimitri, and there's Dimitri in the comics that turns out to be the Chameleon. If this goes anywhere, I don't know. If it'll be like Scorpion and lay on the floor, I don't know. But I'd like to see where that Scorpion thing was going, and I was expecting it to be in this film, and we get Mysterio. But then we'll even talk about that in the end, because it's gonna go into my whole thing about how I feel about Marvel villains and how they just don't treat most of them right. So, when he finds out that Mysterio lied to him, and by the way, just like the trailers show, MJ does find out that Peter is Spider-Man. I don't know why they put that in the trailers. That was just... I understand deceiving them with the multiverse thing, which I'm telling you right now is total bullshit. But to put that in the trailer where she figures out he's Spider-Man, and put that in there, they won't believe it's real. But it was true. It was real. She does figure out, and he does admit it to her. So why you put that in the trailer, I don't know. But he defeats Mysterio, but Mysterio dies. And this goes back to my problem with villains in the MCU. One and done. Why do you do this? You didn't have Vulture killed. He went to jail. So why not have Mysterio go to jail? And you can say, "Oh, it was an illusion." No, it's true. They show that he's dead. I get what they do at the end here is gonna, work towards the long run. But why did he have to die? The only reason I think he had to die is so that they could do the little thing in the end here. We'll get to that, but I'm just saying. Happy comes to the rescue, and there's some little thing between him and Peter's aunt. I don't really care for it. I don't think it's necessary. It's kind of an awkward conversation. I mentioned this in a previous one when I talked about stuff they put in trailers and then it's just lies. There was a whole scene, supposed to be at the beginning of this film, where Peter... and I think that's where this press conference thing is taking place, where Peter saves people in a restaurant. And I think it's the same restaurant where he's talking to people at. But they took it out, but it's in the trailer. And they also put that multiverse thing in the trailer, and it's a total freaking lie. I get Marvel wants to put digital insertion of stuff to give you an illusion of something else happening in a film. But when you put a scene in a trailer that tells you there's a multiverse, and then in the film that you have the trailer for, that it's proved to be bullshit. Now, that's parts in the film where he says that, but it's bullshit. All of it, as Arnold would say. He's not from another universe. There is no multiverse. At least as far as we know. I mean, there's going to be a Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but that's going to be our introduction to the multiverse. So there's that. But as it pertains to this film, no. And like I said, Happy comes to the rescue. We get a little Iron Man callback when Peter has to make his own new suit. And then he's like, Happy can play some music. And Happy's like, I got you. And he starts playing AC/DC. Dun, 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 and they call back to the first Iron Man. He's like, oh, I love Van Halen. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a Peter Parker joke. I get it. Okay. Just let it go. Yeah, and like I said, he defeats Mysterio. And Mysterio dies. And then everyone goes back. And they have a little thing with Flash where they show his parents don't care. I don't care about Flash. Don't try to make us feel sympathetic for Flash, alright? I don't care. It's Flash Thompson. We're not supposed to care. I don't care. I don't care for the actor who plays Flash Thompson. I don't care for the way they made Flash Thompson. Like I said, it's fine you want to do that, make him different. This is a different kind of school. But I don't care about Flash Thompson. Don't try to make us feel for him. I'm not going to. I don't care. So then we get Spider-Man swinging with Mary Jane, or MJ, not Mary Jane, MJ, and the movie ends. We get the vacation all I ever wanted playing on through the thing, and then mid-credit scene. And this is the holy shit moment of the movie, folks. Better than the bullshit. That's a bullshit moment when they prove that everything was a lie. But they're swinging, and they stop, and she's like, I'm not going to do that again. And Spider-Man says, okay, bye. And he swings up and he lands on a thing. And a news bulletin comes across and says, we have exclusive footage of Mysterio. And Mysterio doctored footage, or had William doctor footage, making it look like Spider-Man or the attack of the drones. And then J. Jonah Jameson, played by, I forgot his name now. J.K. Simmons pops up and says, we have exclusive footage and then talking about Mysterio, who he says will go down as the greatest superhero ever, and then releases other footage where Mysterio reveals that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And we get the same kind of moment from the first film where Peter goes, what the fuck? And it cuts off. And then there's a post-credit scene that reveals that Nick Fury and Maria Hill were actually Skrulls the entire time, and Nick Fury's up in space on the sword base. Okay, that's saying things forward in the future, that's fine. I remember watching this and just sitting there in the theater going, what the hell are they going to do? The hell are they going to do? And then finding out the news after this big thing, a little while later, that Sony doesn't want to do the deal anymore because they're great. He hasn't mentioned another film in another review. And they want to take the Spider-Man name back. And which means that they're going to have to do something totally different. Because they could use Tom Holland, but they can't use Iron Man. There are certain things in the MCU they can't use. They can't go back to. So it's going to be hard for them to continue. And I'm saying they're going to fuck up the story. Because there's a lot of things. MCU is interwoven with Spider-Man at this point. They're like this. And you can't break them. You do that, Spider-Man going to crumble because there's so much story elements tangled into the MCU. You'd have to restart Spider-Man again if you wanted to do a separate story. To try to continue off of that, I don't know if it would work because once you're separated from Marvel and from the MCU, you won't be able to use certain things. No Happy, no mentioning Tony Stark, or anything Stark related, no talking about the Avengers, no connections to the Avengers, no connections to past Avengers. Means he couldn't even talk about Infinity War or Endgame or the Blip, for God's sake. Think of how much story elements and characters you have to take out just to have Spider-Man in his own universe now if you want to continue with Tom Holland. He'd be naked. Not literally, but I'm just saying. So it's a good thing that Sony and Marvel worked out a deal. Because we get 2 more films of Spider-Man at least. So that's good. Oh no, this movie is pretty good. The ending had me shocked. And I really want to know where they're going to go with this. People are saying they should bring Daredevil into the MCU. He could be Peter Parker's lawyer. And I think that could work. And you could also bring the Punisher in. Because here's the thing. You can have Daredevil defending Peter Parker. But you also have the Punisher being hired by someone to go after him. Or you could do the Sinister Six with this. Because they wanted to know his secret identity. And now you have Scorpion and the people, his friends on the outside, who know Spider-Man's identity. So they'll be gunning after him. You do the Sinister Six, you could do Daredevil, same movie. Possibilities. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. So, for Spider-Man Far From Home, I'm going to give it an 8. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home? Let's say Homecoming. Far From Home. Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. All we got left is ranking video.